So thank you. Welcome to my session. My name is Christopher Klein. I'm a staff development teacher at John F. Kennedy High School, and I welcome you here. I put the slides in the chat. I'm going to ask if there is some enterprising soul here and they want to, as people come in, and I admit them, if you don't see me, put it in the chat. If you want to spam the chat with those slides, that would really help me out. Typically when I run professional developments, I begin by framing and by writing outcomes. And we have a half hour instead of my typical time. And the outcome is already listed. We want to know how to tame the screens and how to have more effective instruction that is less impacted by distractions for students. So that is our outcome. And I'm going to hit this on a sprint. But I debated whether to pare this down and give you only the pared down slides or to give you the full version of this PD, which I delivered to my staff a couple of weeks ago. And I opted for giving it to you because that way you'd have more resources if you wish to facilitate something with your students where you can get them to reflect on the role that cell phones play in their life. So I am going to skip some of these slides. So 2,617. At this point, I would ask you, and I would depend on the element of curiosity and surprise. But since you already have the slides, you know, if you're reading the presenter notes, that this is the number of times the average person touches their cell phone every day. And that 5,400 in a study in 2016 is the number of times that Gen Xers or millennials, I guess iGeners, right, not Gen Xers, the high point, the top 10% of people would touch their phones that much per day. I imagine if we're going to get a study that comes out in 2022, we're going to see that that number is probably much higher on average. So I want us to think now about the role that cell phones have on student learning. And as I am letting people in here, I want you to think to yourself, and what we're going to do is a chat waterfall. So please put your opinion into the chat and don't press play or hit it and until I say Taco Tuesday. The reason for that is it's my son's favorite day of the week and it just makes me smile when I think about it. So when I say Taco Tuesday, you'll hit enter in the chat and everybody's ideas will come in. Metacognitively, a reason why you might use this if you're facilitating an online training is because there's a chilling effect on people's opinions. People try to be additive and not repetitive, but this effect gets everybody to put their ideas on, and that way you can see if a lot of people have similar ideas. All right, so Taco Tuesday, please put your ideas and hit enter in the chat. Thank you so much. You can keep them coming in. I will get a chance to read back to them when you're in breakout rooms, and we'll call back to them. So the next slide here, and I think what I already read just in the waterfall is that people recognize there are positives and negatives. Studies show that, you know, a decreased student achievement, you know, but then we realize, you know, if they forgot their Chromebook, you know, there's an internet in their pocket. They can identify, you know, participate in polls. They can participate in all sorts of interactive activities, Kahoot games, things of that nature. So they're definitely tools that we can use and harness, but they do come with this effect of distraction. So how do we navigate that? On slide 5, there's a, I guess it's a video link that I've used in the past with students to get them to reflect and spark this conversation. We don't have the time to watch all of this stuff, but we are going to watch 2 videos. So this one is pretty short. So I want you to think as I play this video, how does it make you feel? What does it make you think about? And I want you to think about what could maybe be the effect and how might you use this in your classroom if you were getting your students to reflect on the role of cell phones in their lives and with regard to their learning. I know how I feel when I watch that video. I've used that. This was actually created by Danish students. And I used that in a class when we were focusing on visual rhetoric in an AP language class. It really gets the conversation going, right? It's the combination of the images. And, you know, we know that it qualitatively changes our life. It changes our relationships. It changes the way we process information when we have, you know, a screen as something that mediates us. But we also know that the toothpaste is out of the tube. You know, we're not getting rid of cell phones, right? And they are addictive. And we need to establish a healthy relationship with them. And so, you know, I published an article about this, and one of the big sort of pushbacks that some people who, you know, are really big on, you know, banning cell phones, right? Ban them, is, you know, they say, you know, we don't establish a prefrontal cortex that's fully developed until you're 24, 25. But the thing is, you know, kids can drive, you know, when they're 16, and they can get cell phones as soon as possible. And if they're potentially driving behind a wheel and potentially using a cell phone, you know, just as an example of something that could happen, right? You know, isn't it on us, right, to help them develop, you know, those capacities for self-control? It's a lagging skill that we can work on. And I think having a restorative and transformative approach to doing that and giving kids the resources they need to be reflective is critical. So, you know, I wanted to point out a couple of things as we're about to move into the breakout sessions. One is that, you know, I used to think, and I think a lot of people of my generation and older think, you know, there's a real life and there's the cell phones, and that's not real life. But our kids, you know, they grew up with a cell phone. I mean, my kids are 6 and 8 years old, and they knew how to work a cell phone better than my dad. And, you know, I like to think about it and reframe it as having, you know, a digital life and a physical life, because that's just going to be the way it is for everybody going forward. And so we can hopefully stop, you know, policing and start supporting our kids the way they need to be supported, because they're going to go out into jobs and they're going to have a cell phone in their pocket, and they're either going to be productive or not, right? And so, you know, if we can help them learn better and we can leverage cell phones to our advantage, you know, I think that we're gonna catch up. We're gonna evolve the way we need to evolve to provide instruction the way it really needs to happen. So we know they're addictive by design. We know they have negative effects on mental health, as well as, you know, poor effects when not done correctly, you know, in classrooms. Student achievement's definitely it's on my heart every day. And we think about ways that we've typically or traditionally handled these things. These things are tempting, but I would say that they are ineffective time after time in the research that I've come across. And so there are a couple different approaches. I think it begins with educating students about the effects, and there are many ways to do that. And there are ways where you can use, let's say, a charging station with the community agreement that, airplane mode to use the charger, or, you can provide like cozies, where they tuck them in there and it provides sort of a physical inhibitor, a little barrier, but the key is that we have to get students to reflect on their relationship, and we have to get them to buy in and opt in. And if we can do those things, I think the next step, and the step we really want to get to that takes us from reflective and restorative to transformative. Listen, cell phone companies have invested billions of dollars in research and development in order to find out the ways to grab and hold our attention for as long as possible, because the capitalist, imperative is that they need to do that, right? So let's take what they have done and let's use that in the classroom, right? Because there are definitely things that we can do that take those design techniques that grab and hold our attention, and let's use it for good, right? To grab and hold their attention for learning. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in the chat here, graphic organizer. And if you would click on that, it'll force you to make a copy. And so I'm going to play a video. It's going to be about 5.5 minutes. And then you're going to have pretty much the rest of the time in breakout rooms to process in groups. So you're processing individuals, you're watching, and you're capturing your thoughts on cell phone design principles that you observe that are in the video. And then if you can think of it while you're watching, what are some things that we can do individuals? I will share with you my own version of this, which I've developed over time. But I want you to go through that exercise. I think it's really important. As I'm sure you know, any points of interactivity, the more interactive you can make your lesson, that's just a small point of interaction, the better off. So here we go. So I'm going to play this about 5 minutes. You're going to watch it and take some notes. And then I'm going to put you into some breakout rooms and you'll process.
I can't stop looking at my phone, but I'm not alone. Over 2.5 billion people have smartphones now, and a lot of them are having a hard time putting them down.
There's a new app that aims to curb phone addiction.
Addiction is money.
Are we a nation of smartphone addicts?
The problem is, our devices are designed to keep us engaged. They're intentionally addicting. But if you understand the tricks that grab your attention, you can learn to have a healthier relationship with your phone.
I think we're living inside of 2 billion Truman shows where, Truman Show, you wake up and everything is sort of coordinated just for you and you usually don't even realize it. But it's coordinating just to entertain you or just to engage you.
That's Tristan Harris. He worked as Google's design ethicist, and now he runs a nonprofit initiative called Time Well Spent, advocating for awareness of how tech companies profit off of users' attention.
It's not designed to help us, it's just designed to keep us hooked.
So I handed him my phone and asked him how he'd fix it. It starts with turning off all notifications, except for when a real human is trying to reach you. When you get a call, a text, or a message, it's usually because another person wants to communicate with you. But a lot of today's apps simulate the feeling of that kind of social interaction to get you to spend more time on their platform. If Facebook sends you a push notification that a friend is interested in an event near you, they're essentially acting like a puppet master, leveraging your desire for social connection so that you use the app more. But notifications didn't always work like this. When push notifications were first introduced for email on BlackBerrys in 2003, they were actually seen as a way for you to check your phone less. You could easily see emails as they came in, so you didn't have to repeatedly open your phone to refresh an inbox. But today you can get notifications from any app on your phone. So every time you check it, you get this grab bag of notifications that can make you feel a broad variety of emotions.
If it wasn't random, if it was predictably bad or predictably good, then you would not get addicted. The predictability would take out the addictiveness.
That's the same logic behind slot machines. And it's effective. Slot machines make more money in the US than baseball, movies, and theme parks combined. And they become addicting about 3 to 4 times faster than other kinds of gambling. Some apps even replicate the process of pulling a slot machine lever with the pull to refresh feature. That's a conscious design choice. Those apps are usually capable of continuously updating content, but the pull action provides an addicting illusion of control over that process. In the future, we might see healthier ways of delivering notifications. Research shows that bundling notifications, where phones deliver a batch of updates at set times, reduces user stress. Then, you have to grayscale your screen. The easiest way to attract your eye's attention on a screen is through color. Human eyes are sensitive to warm colors. In eye-tracking tests like this one, they gravitate particularly to bright red. That's why so many apps have redesigned their icons to be brighter, bolder, and warmer over the years. It's also why notification bubbles are red. A little icon like this, or this, doesn't have the same impact on your attention as this. But you can neutralize that distracting effect by selecting a grayscale color filter in your phone's accessibility settings. When you make everything black and white, your brain isn't tricked into thinking this is any more important to you than this.
I mean, there's a reason why slot machines are, bright in color and have flashing lights and ding, 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 and they have the sensory input too, right? And so just noticing that if I take out the color, it changes some of the addictiveness.
Finally, restrict your home screen to everyday tools.
Make sure that your home screen, when you unlock it, doesn't have anything except for the in-the-moment tools that help you live your life. I have Lyft to get somewhere when I need to get somewhere, maps, calendar. None of these are apps that I can fall into and then get sucked down some bottomless vortex of stuff.
If you're not sure what counts as a bottomless vortex of stuff, it helps to filter out apps that use infinite scrolling. Unlike pagination, where users have to click to load new content on another page, infinite scrolling continuously loads new material, so there's no built-in endpoint. Video autoplay works in a similar way. These interfaces create a frictionless experience, but they also reduce a user's sense of control and make it harder to stop. Research shows that people rely on visual cues more than internal cues to stop consuming something. In a 2005 study, individuals who ate soup out of a self-refilling bowl ate 73% more than those who ate out of a normal bowl filled up by servers. But who ate from the self-refilling bowls didn't feel any more satisfied. So a visual cue, like an endpoint, is better at telling you the right time to stop than your own sense of satisfaction. And because so many apps don't have an endpoint, you have to build your home screen around the eventuality of distraction. We check our phones a lot. Most of us drastically underestimate how often we do so. But technology might not always look this way. There are ideas for alternative interfaces that give you functional choices and are more transparent about how much time you'll lose with one action versus another.
But it's a really deep philosophical question of what is genuinely worth your attention on an interruptive basis? Do people even know how to answer that question? It's a really hard question. It's not something we think about.
But for now, it's a question that everybody needs to start asking.
Thank you so much for watching. This is
All right. So I'm going to reshare. So as you're processing, feel free to take the next minute or two, or minute, to jot down some of your ideas in that graphic organizer as I pull up the breakout rooms and give you the next set of directions. And I want you to talk and capture your ideas on these slides. And I'll pull us back right at 3:45, drop the feedback survey in the chat, and send you on your way. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. I will be wrapping up in the next minute. Everybody should be heading back. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. Really appreciate your active participation. I can tell that everybody is going to feel like that was not enough time to process all that information. But the fact that, all of our cameras are on and we all waited until it kicked us out. What I put in the chat just now is my example of, and I will share my screen with this. It's my example that, having done this a couple of times and watched that video of what are some of the cell phone design elements and what are some of the instructional design equivalents. And it's that's there for you as a resource, and feel free to take a look at that, and maybe it'll strike some ideas and you may think of plenty of other things. In the meantime, I'm now going to put the session feedback in the chat. I appreciate if you would fill that out. That is going to serve as your attendance. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming to this session and for making this happen.